Crash Team Rumble was a game that I was very skeptical even trying out, and it's not because I don't love Crash Bandicoot, it's just the way the game is, it was just way different from a lot of Crash games, and I just didn't know how to really feel about it because of the way that it was. Now, after actually trying the game out, and after hearing people say about the game after now the game is at launch, and how people played the beta for it, I thought I would kind of like put in my 2 cents on the game, and I'll be honest, the game is a lot of fun, but I feel as if the game has a lot of issues with it, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about. The first thing that I kind of noticed with this game is that the game obviously is an online multiplayer game, and it does have a lot of the same features of those kind of games, but the problem is with this game is that it doesn't have a single player mode. Like, for this kind of game, I feel that they should have the option to make it more of like a single player than just an online multiplayer game, because there's some people that may not have the ability to connect on the internet. They could just easily play like single player if they wanted to, but in this game you have to have online or play this game, which is kind of one of the biggest downfall with this game, because I can easily tell that a lot of people that want to try it, they will not be able to play it if they don't have online. The other issue with this game is that the season passes and the microtransactions and the cosmetics of it, that's one of the biggest downfall with it as well. Like, you know, it's kind of like the same issue as Crash Team Racing, where like with that remake, they added a lot of the same stuff with like the season passes and like with all the new cosmetics and microtransactions, even though when the game first got announced and when the first game came out, people were like, oh, the game's not going to have any, you know, cosmetics, whatever. And even Activision told people that, yeah, the game's not going to have any. Then the game comes out, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to put all the microtransactions in there, and we're just going to have people, you know, pay money to actually play characters in the game. Now, obviously, it sounds pretty cool on paper, but if you really think about it, why would you want to charge people for a remake of a game that came out years ago? And that was one of the biggest things I didn't like about that game, was that, like, as soon as they did all that shit, they basically shut down all the servers right a year after the game came out, which to me seemed very pointless. But going to this game does the same thing, where, like, it has season passes, has the microtransactions, has all the cosmetics. But the thing is even if you do all that alone, there's not really a lot of characters that they give you. Like, they only give you characters from, like, Crash 4. And the game, Crash 4, was really good, but it's just, you could added more, like, characters in there, or hell, even make the game in-game content. Like, you know, I'm so used to games, like, back in the day where, like, you pay for a game, you play it, and, like, everything's all in there, and then they just add, like, free DLC, and they basically give you everything. You shouldn't have to pay money for, you know, all these extra cosmetics. But the other thing I feel with this game is that, like, what's funny is the game could have been a lot better if it's free to play, and that's what they're trying to approach into, but the game itself isn't really free to play. I mean, you basically have to pay money to actually try the game out, even for the beta. Like, the game, like, in Canada alone is like $50, and then you get the game, and then now all of a sudden they want you to pay more just to have all these extra things. But if you look at a game like Fortnite, where the game is free to play and you can play the game for free and everything, but you can still get cosmetics. Like, that system I can understand. I think that's actually a lot better than what this game is offering. But on the one hand, it still doesn't matter at the end of the day, because they're still going to charge you money even if you buy the game or whatever. So it's completely opposite from how Fortnite does it. And I think if the game was free to play, I think it could have been a whole lot better if they did that, but instead this game isn't. Now, regardless of the game, I do think the game is fun, and I do think that the way they were trying to do it, where it was like an arcade style game and it's an online multiplayer game, it's a lot of fun, and there is a lot of great things about this game, and the game does have a lot of great potential with, like, the way the game is, how it's polished and everything, but it's just, again, it falls in the same category as, like, you know, a lot of things they did with, like, Crash Team Racing, the remake, is that they added all the microtransactions, they added all the cosmetics, and then all of a sudden, you know, people didn't like how the game was, they shut down all the servers a year after the game came out, so it made it completely pointless. And the way this game is and what they're doing with it, it's going to be in the same boat, where, like, people are just going to turn away from this game, and then the servers are going to shut down, and then the game doesn't really function anymore. So that's kind of what I feel about this game, and it's kind of sad, because I think Activision needs to make really good games for Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, Crash 4 was really good, and they did a good job of that game alone. Like, Toys for Bob is a pretty good developer, and they did develop this game too. But the problem is they could have just done this game free to play, and they could have made it way better than what it initially is. Instead, they just had people pay for the game and expect people to pay more shit. And that's one of the biggest things I didn't like about it. But honestly, that's kind of my initial thoughts on the game. I'm not saying people shouldn't buy the game. I'm not saying people, shouldn't support this game or whatever. I'm just giving out my initial thoughts on the game and why I'm not a big fan of it and why I actually will not continue playing the game. But if you love the game, fantastic. More power to you. Regardless, that's kind of my initial thoughts on it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys agree or disagree. I really want to know your thoughts on the game. But yeah, so hopefully I'll see you guys next video.